Cornell University in the state of New York is suspending enrolment and study for students that participate in campus protests demanding an end to Israel's war on Gaza. The school says that this is because students set up an encampment which they did not seek permission for. Across many American universities, student protesters have set up encampments on their campuses and are calling for their universities to withdraw investment from companies with links to the Israeli military. Let's speak now to Nick Wilson. He's a second-year undergraduate student at Cornell University and a protest organiser with the Coalition for Mutual Liberation. He joins us now live from Ithaca. Many thanks for your time today. You were suspended, I believe, from Cornell 2 days ago for protesting. Can you tell us what happened?
Yes, that's correct. Administration actually didn't even send out representatives to notify us that we had been suspended. I was at our encampment on the Arts Quad. It's a lively community environment, lots of students learning from one another, creating art together. And suddenly I had several of my fellow organizers run up to me and ask me to check my email when I was notified that I had been suspended. Cornell's suspended a total of 4 students so far. People that they perceive to be public faces of the movement or sort of core organizers in an attempt to bring down our movement.
I believe they did offer you an alternative location to protest, but you declined, and that was actually the reason for your suspension.
Yes, that's right. Administration initially approached us and asked us to move from the Arts Quad, which is the most central location on campus and the best populated location on campus, somewhere most students walk through on a normal school day, to a much more secluded area in another area of campus. We had severe safety concerns about that area. It only had 2 points of entry and exit, so we were concerned about students being able to come and go freely. And it's also built onto a slope, so it would have been significantly more difficult to pitch tents and camp overnight there.
You are a member of the student team that was negotiating with administrators. Can I ask what you and your fellow students were demanding, and what is the status of negotiations now?
Yes, I was on a team of 8 negotiators that were nominated by our peers in the encampment to represent the rest of the group. We make decisions democratically as a whole, but that was the group that was chosen to go speak with administration. Of those 8, 3 students on the negotiation team have been suspended. It's our belief that those students were targeted because we're the students that they perceive to be leaders. I think that's a real misunderstanding of the movement, which is why these suspensions have failed to prevent the encampment and actually grown our numbers based on the community outrage that they spurred. Our core demands center around divestment from the genocide that's ongoing in Gaza. Cornell has massive investments in 10 weapons manufacturers, as well as partnership with weapons manufacturer Technion, through which Cornell directly facilitates their research and development of advanced weapon systems for the IDF. Technion has sponsored a lot of programs, including the creation of the unmanned D9 bulldozer, which has been used to bulldoze the homes of tens of thousands of Palestinian civilians. So we're calling for an end to Cornell's role in actively facilitating the genocide in Gaza.
I think it's probably fair to say that not all students at Cornell or other universities feel the way you do. What do you say to those that see these protests as disrupting their learning? They just want things to go back to normal, to graduate and so on.
Well, here at Cornell, we've actually got pretty decent proof that a lot of students think this way. We recently held a referendum on our divestment demands. Almost 50% of students turned out. Nearly 70% of students voted yes on the question to divest from those weapons manufacturers. 50% of students is a really impressive number for Cornell's campus, which is ordinarily quite apolitical. In our previous student government election, only 15% of students elected to vote. So very recently, the Cornell community has come out in full support, I believe, of the divestment demand. Many students perceive what's going on in Gaza, the ongoing genocide, as a real moral atrocity, and we see our university's role as something that's completely reprehensible. So Cornell students, I think, across the board are standing up in favor of divestment because we believe it's a moral imperative, given that our tuition money is funding genocide.
And what about you? Why are you protesting? I mean, I understand your suspension has meant you've been withdrawn from all your current courses. You may not even receive any credit for those courses. You've not been permitted to be on campus. Why is this cause important to you?
Yeah, it's certainly a major sacrifice for all of the students that have decided to take the risk. My suspension was rather arbitrary. I think I was one of the people that was most visible to administration, and that's why they singled me out for suspension. But there are a lot of students out there that have taken the same risks and that are continuing every day to join our encampment and take the same risks. And I think that's because of the national student movement that's sweeping our country right now, of students saying that something that's more important than our academic futures or even our future careers is preventing an ongoing genocide. There's a moral question here that I think is moving enough to students that they're willing to put quite a lot on the line in order to object to that. And for us, it seems like the rational thing to do. There are short-term interests for us, but in the long term, we want to be able to tell our children and our grandchildren that as the genocide was happening, we were standing up to object to it and materially putting ourselves in the way of, our university's active support for that.
OK, Nick, thank you for your time. Nick Wilson, a second-year undergraduate student at Cornell University.
Thank you.
Make sure to subscribe to our channel to get the latest news from Al Jazeera.